glad you joined us here on this live. We're going to wait a few more minutes and let more people join in. Let me just say that we've been having a wonderful trip here, filming with the grandkids, telling the story of the Bible, the story of Israel, the story of the Jewish people. And this is part of the story. We'll just do a quick pan around. Of course, the most important part of Hostage Square. Come back over here, Paul. The most important part of Hostage Square, I think, is the countdown. We have 490 days, 12 hours, 54 seconds. Those that were released today, we're going to talk about them. They were in captivity 491 days today. And so it's awesome to know that 3 more have been released. It's still really sad to know that there are others still in captivity. There are others that people don't know what's happened to them. So we'll just swing around and kind of show you a little bit more about this. There's a stage set up right here. Stage at, like I said, 7 o'clock. There's going to be speeches, people talking. There's going to be a big prayer. And so this happens at the end of every Shabbat. So here in Tel Aviv, it is 6:30 in the evening. The sun has set, the Sabbath is over, people are starting to fill the square, as has happened for all of these, about a year and a half now. People have been assembling here to remember what's happening, to call for the release of hostages, to keep the pressure on the world and the government to do everything they can to release the hostages. Obviously, we're still concerned about the dozens of Palestinian prisoners, those that have been released because of this deal. They're people that have committed terrible crimes, and likely they will get right back to doing those terrorist things against the Jewish people. But again, you have to be so glad to have the hostages released. One other thing I want to show you, and this is a permanent piece of art here on this plaza. You can see off in the distance, right where it says October 7th, there's a display, sculpture. So have these hostages been bound. They have been captured, they've been held, mistreated. The 3 that have been released today have been, they look terrible. And the 3 that are released, I'll just kind of give you the picture here. The or Levy, we have Eli, Sharehi, and Yochai, and Ami. And again, these are pictures before they were taken into captivity. We are thankful, we're grateful that they've been released. But again, there's more to come home. And we've been here during this ceasefire, which again is really wonderful to know that at least while we've been in this country and have my grandkids here, that there's at least a semblance of peace. Of course, we know that it's peaceful up in Lebanon. There's a few things happening there, but it's been relatively quiet. We haven't had any alarms of any rockets while we're here, which again is really good. I'm going to bring in the grandkids and just talk to them for a second. This is Charlie. Charlie, let me get this mic running here. Okay. So, what do you think so far about your trip to Israel? Has it been amazing? So, where were we today? What 2 things did we do today? That's right. We went to the Valley of Elah. What happened there? That's right. And then, Willow, what did we do in the Valley of Elah? Right, and we had a 10-foot Goliath that we printed out, and you guys were able to hit Goliath with marshmallows, and then that was practice with your new slings, and then they actually got rocks out of the brook, which was the Valley of Elah, Brook Elah, and threw those at the giant. So you guys killed the giant, and we cut off his head, and we brought his head to Jerusalem, didn't we? Yeah, we did. We brought Goliath's head to Jerusalem, and that's exactly what David did. So cut off his head and brought his head to Jerusalem. Okay, and here's Coco. So what do you think about this, Coco? You having a fun day? Yeah? What do you have? Can you show this to me? This is a hostage necklace, and this says, "Bring them home now." And you have one too? There you go. Oh, and I like your shirt. Your shirt is Israel Chai, which is the people of Israel live. Turn around, Charlie. Turn around. Turn around. And we well, here we are again. So what are your feelings? Especially on the the
day
eve of having three
somebody,
hostages
three
released.
guys coming home. It's just neat to see the community and the support of the people. And these people are really hurting. I was just talking to a guy whose twin brother was good friends with the younger one that was released today. I think it was Levy. And he said it was really good to hear that there's people back in America that are praying, that are supportive. He was really impressed that we were here and that we were bringing a tour group here. So I think it means a lot to them, and I think it's important to them to show that we support them and we're praying for them. Um, yeah, you can just see their hearts are just hurting so bad, and um, I just keep crying because it's just like, wow. It really makes you feel like this really happened and this is horrible what's happened.
What
Keep
feels
praying.
to me like the worst is that the Jews right now, when the world should be like getting behind them and helping them, supporting them. And I know it's not everybody, but it's a lot of people that are anti-Semitic. It just, to me, it just seems like it's proof of the Bible. It's proof that these are God's chosen people and that there's a devil that hates that. And I don't know, it hurts me to know that the people we should be loving are those that are being harassed and hated and vilified.
Right, right.
I mean, even the Pope was talking about how bad Netanyahu was. Like, what about Hamas? What about the people that started this? What about the people that were still holding these innocent people hostage, those
Yeah.
babies and Sherry Bibas and all of that? So it's sick.
Hard to grasp.
It's
But
sick.
it's
Well, let's continue to walk around and show you a little bit more of Hostage Square. You can zoom in a little bit on the music. Yeah, so Willow is asking what this timer is. I think it's just a reminder, it's an hourglass that they'll keep flipping that reminds people that this is still ongoing, it's still happening, the sand is still falling. Hostages are still there, is what that says. And eventually that will all fall, and then they'll flip it, and it'll just keep going and keep going and keep going. And I'm assuming they'll keep doing that until all the hostages are returned. One other thing that we've seen here is the hostage table. This is the empty Shabbat table. And Willow, do you remember when we were in Skokie, one of the early Shabbat tables was on display by our friend Allison Slovin, remember? And we took you there. So what are you thinking when you see this empty Shabbat table, as they just had the Sabbath and there's so many people still not at their table?
It's like just really sad, and like if this was like Charlie, Chloe, mom, or dad, or any of you guys that I know, it'd just be really hard for me.
Yeah. And here is Yardan Bibas. He was released last week, but we don't know yet what's of his wife and sons. And so this is where you come and you get to, it really impacts you. It really comes home. I think this is good for the kids because they get to realize the reality, the truth, right? Like, because a lot of people in the world are against Israel and the Jewish people when this is their time of need. This is when we, especially as Christians, our Savior is Jewish, our Messiah is Jewish, that why would we possibly turn against the Jewish nation? And this is your first trip to Israel, right?
Yeah.
And so what other thing did we do today? We did the Valley of Elah, and then what did we just do?
The garden tomb.
Yeah, so what did you think about the Garden Tomb?
It was cool. And like we got to see what we think Jesus rose again and where he died and like the school.
And the tomb is empty.
Mm-hmm.
And Willow sang a song at the Garden Tomb that we're going to put on the show, on the series with the grandkids. What's the name of your song?
Pray for the peace of Jerusalem.
Pray for the Peace of Jerusalem. It's actually very pretty. And so we're going to have her sing it several places and make a little musical vignette of video featuring Willow. And maybe Charlie, he likes to sing the chorus with you.
Mm-hmm.
You're a little annoyed with him because he also doesn't echo and it kind of annoys you a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah. I remember my sister and me and how much we didn't get along sometimes as I raised my kids, and now we get to hang out with the grandkids. But one day you're going to be like loving him to death always. And I know you do love him a lot, right? All right, we'll head over back to see if the gathering is growing. And I know they just had Yair Lapid. He was the former prime minister of Israel. He was here at the square. Other important people, dignitaries are here because this is an important place for them to all say, hey, we're still in this, we're supporting Israel. And if you want to be on television, all the main channels are here too. So I'm sure that's also why he was here. He was on one of the shows. There we go. Okay, there we go. Okay, your first time to Hostage Square, your first time to Israel since when?
2010.
Yeah, so what are your feelings being here and being in Israel?
Mixed emotions because I've always wanted to come back since 2010. Obviously, for the aspect from our faith, seeing all the sites that we read about in the Bible, but also now since October 7th, I've been having a heart to come back to just show support for the Jewish people and to just kind of see it instead of just swiping through on Instagram or Twitter or whatever. Being here, seeing the countdown timer in person, the Shabbat table with the little kids table, it's so much different being able to see it with my own eyes with my kids, and it just puts it into, it makes it more real. And it's not just videos and pictures that we see on our phones. These are real people jumping in the pool with their kids who haven't been able to do that for 490 days. Real people have lost their lives. Real people, real kids are in captivity. It's extremely sobering. Extremely sobering.
Especially when you're a dad, you've got a little 4-year-old, you can really put yourself in that position of these families. And as I was telling Karen, like, for the world to be turning against Israel when they had like just a barbaric attack, like you couldn't even put humanity on that. This has to be like animals that would do what Hamas did, barbarians. For the world to turn against Israel instead of turning against these wicked people, and I really think the battle is a battle of light and darkness.
100%. It is good versus evil. It is Satan. It is demonic. It's hard for you to wrap your head around humans being able to do this to other humans. So there has to be some sort of demonic activity at play. I have to believe that because to do that to to do man against man, army against army is one thing, but to go in and do that to women and children, defenseless people, that's not human.
Yeah.
That's not human at all.
Well, I'm going to wrap it up and just remind you that we've got